Fascism. The word itself carries a chilling weight, conjuring images of jackbooted thugs, roaring crowds, and the unspeakable horrors of the Holocaust. It is a term often thrown around in the heat of political debate, but its true meaning is often lost in the fray. To understand fascism is to recognize it not merely as a historical artifact, but as a living ideology, a dangerous undercurrent that can resurface in unexpected ways, even in societies that pride themselves on their democratic values. At its core, fascism is a form of far-right authoritarian ultranationalism characterized by dictatorial power, forcible suppression of opposition, and strong regimentation of society and the economy. It is an ideology that thrives on fear, resentment, and division, exploiting existing societal fault lines to pit groups against each other and consolidate power in the hands of a charismatic leader and a select few. Scholars like Robert Paxton, author of The Anatomy of Fascism, argue that fascism is less a coherent ideology and more a political method, a toolbox of rhetorical strategies designed to acquire and maintain power. These strategies, honed over decades, often masquerade behind a veneer of democratic rhetoric, making them even more insidious and difficult to combat. Umberto Eco, in his seminal essay Fascism, warns that fascism rarely announces itself with fanfare. Instead, it creeps into the public square gradually, exploiting the very freedoms it seeks to destroy. Like a virus, it infiltrates democratic institutions, slowly eroding trust, promoting division, and ultimately paving the way for authoritarian rule. One of fascism's most potent tools is the manipulation of history. Fascist regimes often construct a mythic past, a golden age of national greatness that serves as a stark contrast to the perceived decline and humiliation of the present. This narrative of lost glory stokes resentment and nostalgia, creating a yearning for a return to a time when the nation was supposedly strong, united, and prosperous. Benito Mussolini, the dictator of fascist Italy, famously invoked the grandeur of the Roman Empire, promising to restore Italy to its former glory. Adolf Hitler, drawing on a toxic brew of nationalism and racial pseudoscience, peddled the myth of Aryan supremacy, blaming Germany's woes on Jews, communists, and other fabricated enemies. These fabricated narratives serve a dual purpose. They provide a scapegoat for society's ills, diverting blame away from the regime itself. And they offer a simplistic solution, a return to a mythical past, often through violence and the purging of those deemed responsible for the nation's decline. A hallmark of fascist regimes is a deep disdain for intellectualism, critical thinking, and objective truth. Education, once a cornerstone of a free and informed citizenry, becomes a tool for indoctrination, churning out loyal followers rather than critical thinkers. From the infamous Nazi book burnings, where works deemed un-German were consigned to the flames, to the Soviet Union's persecution of intellectuals and scientists, history is replete with examples of fascist regimes seeking to suppress dissent and control the flow of information. Facts are dismissed as fake news, experts are branded as enemies of the people, and universities become battlegrounds in a culture war against perceived liberal bias. This assault on reason creates a fertile ground for conspiracy theories, propaganda, and emotional appeals to replace reasoned debate and evidence-based policymaking. Section 4. A divided house, hierarchy, victimhood, and resentment. Fascism thrives on division. It seeks to exploit existing societal fault lines, race, religion, ethnicity, class, to pit groups against each other in a zero-sum struggle for power and resources. This strategy, often referred to as divide and conquer, weakens social cohesion and creates an environment of fear and distrust. At the heart of this strategy lies a dangerous paradox: the simultaneous promotion of a rigid social hierarchy and the claim of victimhood by the dominant group. In Nazi Germany, for instance, the Aryan race was portrayed as the pinnacle of human evolution, yet simultaneously vulnerable to the supposed threat posed by Jews, Roma, and other minorities. This narrative of victimhood, often fueled by economic anxiety and cultural change, allows the dominant group to portray itself as unjustly persecuted, justifying aggression and violence against the perceived other. Section 5. The Iron Fist Law and Order Rhetoric. Fear is the lifeblood of fascism. It is a tool used to justify the expansion of state power, the curtailment of civil liberties, and the suppression of dissent. Fascist regimes often exploit real or perceived threats to public safety, painting a picture of a society teetering on the brink of chaos. The law and order rhetoric, a common refrain in fascist discourse, serves as a pretext for increased surveillance, police brutality, and the erosion of due process. Minorities are often scapegoated as criminals and threats to public safety, justifying discriminatory policing and draconian immigration policies. Franco's Spain, where political opponents were routinely imprisoned, tortured, and executed, stands as a chilling reminder of the human cost of unchecked state power in the name of law and order. Section 6. The politics of fear, sexual anxiety, and cultural change. Societies undergoing rapid social and cultural change often become fertile ground for fascist movements. The anxiety surrounding shifting gender roles, changing family structures, and increased diversity can be exploited by demagogues seeking to stoke fear and resentment. Fascist regimes often promote a return to traditional values, invoking a romanticized past where gender roles were clearly defined and families adhered to a strict moral code. This often translates into policies designed to control women's bodies, limit LGBTQ+ rights, and suppress any forms of expression deemed deviant or subversive. From Nazi Germany's emphasis on Kinder, Küche, Kirche, children, kitchen, church, to Mussolini's pro-natalist policies, history demonstrates how fascist regimes seek to control the private lives of citizens, enforcing conformity through a combination of social pressure and state coercion. What can the average citizen do to combat all of this? Follow for some answers in the coming videos. Thanks for watching. Stay stronger, stay smarter, stay informed. Like and subscribe for more information and updates.